Every few months, I usually make a video about this particular user here on YouTube, and usually when doing so, I have a lot of people ask me, Daniel, why make a video to this user when he doesn't listen to what you have to say? Much less, he doesn't even watch your videos, so why make a video to this user when he's not going to listen to you? And that's a valid complaint, a valid concern, but my answer is, it's not about him, it's about the people who follow him. That's what's important. When I see someone on YouTube make a video about a topic, and they, when talking about that topic, appear ignorant, foolish, stupid, but most of all contribute to negative stereotypes and misconceptions of a specific group of people or types of people, that's when I need to step in. When you have an audience of hundreds and thousands of people who watch you, specifically young girls who are easily influenced, and you say things which can dramatically affect and change their lives, I feel a need that I need to step in and I need to respond to the video that he made, which is actually going to be damaging to people. That's why I make it. I don't make videos like these video responses to Greg Onision because I enjoy it. I mean, back in the day I used to, but now it's really a concern to me is about the people who watch him and the people who are being negatively impacted by the things that he says to them because they think that he is a role model, or they think that he knows answers when in reality he knows nothing about nothing. If that even makes sense. So for those of you who don't know, Onision made a main channel video titled on fat people. It was basically a song where he mocked and joked about fat people, and that's not what my video is about. My video about here is actually a video response to a video he made on his side channel, which he then tried to defend because his video based upon mocking fat people got heavily disliked. It got a lot of hatred on that video, and for good reason. When you start making fun of people with medical problems and who actually have medical and genetic problems with obesity, you're not going to get really a lot of people liking your content, especially when you're mocking those types of people. But nonetheless, his video got a lot of hate, and as usual, he had to make a video defending himself and defending his video, which is what I'm responding to in this video right now. So with that said, let's watch this video and see what he has to say.
Alright, today what I want to talk about is fat people. First off, I just want to say I make fun of myself all the time. I make fun of my zits, I make fun of my oversized head, I make fun of my other physical flaws, and I don't get upset over it because I'm not ashamed of who I am. I do my very best to get enough sleep, to eat healthy, and to not put anything negative into my body, i.e. drugs, etc. So in that, I ask you, what is there for me to be ashamed of? If I truly wanted to get rid of my acne, I would be taking pills, or I'd be applying creams, etc. But obviously what's on the surface isn't the most important thing to me in the world. For those of you who are wondering why I'm talking about acne, I have a lot of acne on my back. So that clears that up. No pun intended. Anyway, so what I'm trying to say here is that it's okay to joke about things.
You do have a point here. It is completely fine to joke about things, although there are certain topics that I myself and I think many other people would not joke about. If you want to make a video on your main channel like you did, mocking fat people, or overweight people, or obese people, that's your choice, that's your channel. I'm not going to tell you what you can and cannot do, because that's freedom of speech. That's the whole idea. I understand joking, I understand humor, although I would never touch the area of obesity in terms of humor, but that's just me. Maybe that's what you like to do if you like to mock people who actually have serious problems or who are struggling with things. I don't agree with that, but that's freedom of speech, man. You have that right. I'm not against taking that right away. But what I am against is the rest of your video in which you further try to defend yourself in the negative stereotypes, or I should say the negative misconceptions that you spew all throughout your original video, which I'm not posting simply because it makes my ears bleed. You just go to his main channel and you can watch the video yourself, and plus I don't want to promote his video in my video, so that will get him more views that he does not deserve, much less need.
Is there a limit to what you can and cannot joke about? Well, I think there's a lot of things in the world that are kind of uncool to joke about, but that doesn't make it wrong. Joking about things is often just people's way of coping with life. But anyway, to move more towards the point, my video, I'm So Fat, wasn't primarily making fun of people for being fat.
Oh, really? So your video based upon mocking fat people wasn't mocking fat people? I've watched your video several different times. I listened to the lyrics of your song and it made my ears bleed. But the fact of the matter is, as much as you try to deny it, that's why your video got so much hate, is because you're mocking people and telling people and laughing at people who are obese or have genetic problems or medical problems with being overweight, and you mock them because they are not a vegetarian. Yes, for those of you who don't know, Greg, and I have nothing to... Granted, there's nothing wrong with being a vegetarian. If you're a vegetarian, that's fine. If you're a vegan, that's fine. I don't condemn you, that's fine. That's not me, but that's your choice. If that's what you want to eat, that's fine. But to make a video mocking fat people for what they choose to eat rather than not what you choose to eat is not only disrespectful, but I'll let the video continue to prove my point.
It was actually heavily focused on what people eat and what it does to their body.
So Greg, I have to ask you, so when are you an expert professional in different types of food? I know I'm not. I don't know jack shit about a lot of different types of food. And I don't make videos talking about what people should and shouldn't eat. And I know you're not a food expert, even though I'm sure that you would classify yourself as one, as you are primarily known as a narcissist as it is. So granted, you would probably label yourself as a food expert. But I know for a fact that you're not. And the fact that you think that you know what's best for everybody makes me want to rip your long hair out of your head. Simply because every person's body is completely different. Everyone's body is different. Everybody balances different types of dieting when they eat. Every person's body, when they eat different types of food, balances it differently. Some people, when they eat a lot, they gain weight fast. Other people, I have a very high metabolism. I can eat a lot of food now, and I do not gain weight. Now, when I was younger, I was heavily bullied for being overweight. So weight to me when I was younger was a really big issue. And the fact that I'm skinny now and my metabolism rate has dramatically changed, I don't know the reason for that. But it's a problem to me when you make fun of people who are overweight or who cannot help being overweight based upon genetics or medical problems that they may be having. The fact that you think that everybody who's overweight or obese, it's their choice to be that way, or that they want to be that way, is not only disrespectful, rude, and hurtful, and offensive, but it's so wrong.
In my past, I have been friends with and dated multiple overweight people. Did I feel that these people were unattractive for being overweight? The answer is no. However, did I feel they were less attractive whenever they ate garbage food? Absolutely.
So who are you to tell me that I am automatically unattractive for simply eating a piece of food that you don't like? I mean, granted, if you don't want to eat bacon or meat, that's completely fine. But for you to tell your wife or your girlfriend that you're unattractive if you eat food? I mean, I love my bacon. If you don't want to eat bacon, that's fine. But does this piece of bacon somehow make my face change? Does this make me unattractive that I'm eating a piece of food that you disapprove of? That's a load of horse shit. If you judge your relationships and friendships and someone's attractiveness based upon the food that they strictly eat, you're an idiot. A true, downright idiot. If I'm dating a girl and she's eating vegetables and I don't like vegetables and I judge her attractiveness based upon whether she eats vegetables, what the fuck? That doesn't even make any sense to me.
And it upsets me even more when I see people who have lived their life stuffing their body with garbage, passing on their bad habits to their children who don't know any better. When you consistently overfeed your kids junk food, I feel you are being abusive.
When you consistently feed your children junk food, you feel as if they're being abusive. You should not have mentioned that one, buddy. You know why I find that really ironic that you say that if you feed your first friend junk food, you're being abusive? Is that you are abusive yourself. And I've made videos in my past exposing you for the type of abuse that you've done. But it's here where it strikes your not only hypocrisy, but the fact that many people don't know that you went to Mexico, to a different state, so you could marry and legally marry a 17-year-old girl who now happens to be the legal age of 18, but you recently married your fangirl who happens to be age 18. And it's really not, that's not the biggest problem. The biggest problem here is that you're actually abusing her, and this is clearly evident as proven by many people who've made videos about you. When you go to her Twitter and you go to her Facebook, you can read her statuses. Oh my god, Greg wants me to weigh this amount of weight. Greg wants me to, I must lose more weight. I must lose more weight. Your wife right now, who's currently age 18, named Taylor, also goes by the name of Lanley, is turning anorexic by you. Yes, yourself. Because it's very clear, and I've seen her Tumblr post, her tweets, that you want someone who's super, super thin. And you've manipulated and controlled your current wife, who's only a few months into your marriage. You've convinced her already that 120 pounds is fat. That a girl weighing 120 pounds is fat. Lanely Taylor believes that. Why does she believe that? Because she's in an abusive relationship with a man who's not only a psychopath, but with a man who demands that she eats and be a certain weight in order for you to be happy with her. And how do I know this? Because I read her tweets and I read her messages and things that she talks about public. She's obsessed with you. Greg, she's obsessed with you. And I feel sorry for her, but you know what? That's her choice to be in a harmful, abusive relationship with you. That's her choice. And it's sad to me that you're here talking about, I find it abusive if a parent feeds their child junk food. Well, you know what I find sickening? You know what I find disgusting? Is the fact that you think your girlfriend has to be a certain weight and you have to force her and manipulate her and control her to be that weight for your approval. That is disgusting. That is vile. I really do hope that Lanely's dad, Taylor's dad, finds you and does something to you personally. Because I know for a fact that he's still pissed off that you went behind his back and stole their daughter from him. And now you're making her turn anorexic for your personal pleasure. Because you like the girls young and you like them thin. You like them bone thin. You are a disgusting human being.
Not that it necessarily matters because I'm not a parent, which means I'm most likely speaking from a position of ignorance.
No shit, Sherlock. I'm glad that you admit that you're speaking from a position of ignorance right here. I think this is the only video I've ever watched by you where you actually admit your own ignorance on a certain topic. And the fact that you admit your ignorance on this specific topic, why are you even talking about it if you admit that you're ignorant on it?
I'm just conveying the message that I feel like children should be given the right food. And when parents fail to do so, causing childhood obesity, it's upsetting. Especially when those same children have to live their entire young life being ridiculed by other kids because of decisions that their parents made. So really, I think that's the main problem here. If you want to set yourself up to die of diabetes or heart failure or another disease that's related to your eating habits, then of course, that's your choice, that's your right. But when your destructive decisions start to affect other people, that's when somebody should say something.
You're absolutely right, Gregory Onision. When someone starts making negative decisions that affects people, you should say something. That's one of the reasons why I make the video responses to you that I do, because it's videos like your main video, which I'm not linking. People just take my word for it. I've made enough video responses to this user to know, you know that what I'm talking about. His main video on his main channel is the problem I have, not because it makes fun of people, but because it contributes to the massive misconceptions of people who are obese. And that's my problem, is that you're contributing to the negative reinforcement to that of obese people. And that's when I feel like I need to say something. It's just like your video that you made on cutting, people who self-harm. It's the same thing. That's why I made a video response to you on that topic, is because you made a massive misconception about people who self-harm, that it's always done for attention. No, self-harm is not always done for attention. Granted, yeah, maybe some people do it. Yeah, granted, maybe some people overeat and gain a lot of weight and become obese through eating too much. Yeah, sure. But the fact that you say that obesity is kind of like a choice, that people choose to eat unhealthy and choose to get, and always choose to be the way they are, no, they do not. People are born with overweight problems. People struggle with obesity not because they always choose to be that way, but because they have medical diagnosed problems that put them in that position. And then you sit there and you go on this cycle, the cycle of negatively impacting people who are obese. In fact, your video, I guarantee you, is actually doing more harm than good, mocking fat people. Do you know why it's doing more harm than good? Because you're making people who are obese feel bad about themselves. When you make someone who cuts themselves, or who does drugs, or even is obese, make them feel bad about themselves, you put them in a cycle, the same routinely cycle, and they go back and they eat a little bit more food. Why do they eat a little bit more food? Because it's a coping mechanism. People cope in so many hundreds and thousands of different ways. I used to cope when my old depression back in the day. I used to take a blade to my skin and I used to cut and burn. I have scars all over my arms from it. That's how I would cope with the emotional pain that I went through. And I felt so bad about the guilt that I went through when I was younger and the things that happened to me that I went through a cycle of self-harm. And then when people would tell me that I'm a bad person for self-harming, it would reinforce the idea and I would do it more. So your video is actually reinforcing the idea of the people in the cycle to eat more because you're putting people down for being who they may be at the time, but they can't change due to some genetic or medical problem. And that's my problem with your entire video, is the massive misconception of all people who are obese. You generalize everybody. And when you make a big, deep, damaging generalization about all people like that, that's when I need to step in, and that's when I need to make a video response to knock the people who watch you in place. Because I know nothing I say, nothing I say in this video is going to affect your Onision brain. Nothing. Nothing I say will change your white pimpled little ass. But I do know from people who've watched me that I've helped a lot of people by making video responses to some of the things that you've said. I still remember that video response I made to you a while back when you told someone who was struggling with suicide and depression that it was their fault for feeling the way they do. Because they were being emotionally and physically abused by their parents. That it was their fault for feeling the way they did. Telling a suicide victim that it's their fault. I had a heyday on that video. Boy, did that get my rustled up my jimmies. So see, guys, I don't make videos to Onision because I enjoy it. I make videos to him because sometimes things need to be addressed that other people won't address to this idiot. Maybe people are afraid of this user on YouTube. I don't know what is, but I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to let issues like this and mockery and stereotypes and misconceptions of obesity run rampant on a man who has thousands and thousands of fangirls who he manipulates and controls and abuses. I'm not going to just stand by and let that happen. So if you want to get mad at me for making a video response to your so-called celebrity fan, Onision, by all means get mad. Dislike this video. But it's not going to stop me. Because when I'm passionate about something, especially like an issue like this, where you're negatively reinforcing the idea of obesity with people and telling them that they're wrong and that they're bad people, that's when I feel like I need to step in, and that's what I'm doing right here.
In the way that it does. You're eating the right type and the right amount of food to keep you in a healthy condition. And yet for some bizarre reason, your body screws you over. That's not your fault, so people shouldn't blame you for it. But regardless, I just want to remind you guys, Uh-Oh Bro is a comedy channel. So obviously I'm going to make fun of a lot of things, and not everything I make fun of you will 100% agree with me making fun of it. And that's okay. What's important is that you don't let it wreck your life and get all butthurt.
What's important is that you don't let it wreck your life and make you all butthurt. That's interesting coming from you, Greg. You don't want to know why? Because the only reason that you made this follow-up video on your side channel was because your main channel video got so many dislikes. Your main channel video got so many dislikes and got so much hate that you felt the need to defend yourself by making a video clarifying everything that you meant, which not only did you clarify, but you made yourself even look more ignorant in your side channel video than you did with your main channel video. But you know what? What's said is said. I've said what I've needed to say in this video. Thank you for watching, guys. My name is Mr. Repsion, also known as Daniel Solzbach. This has been yet another video response to Onision. Hopefully, I won't have to do this anytime soon again. But you know, who knows the next thing Greg will say out of his mouth. I wouldn't be surprised if the next thing he says is that rape victims deserve to be raped. And if that happens, well, I'll make sure I'll get that video removed off of YouTube. Thank you for watching, guys.